amazed at the touch of the black man. I bring life.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring this video. Opera GX is here to revolutionize your internet experience with today. Sweet Baby Inc. is the successful feminist frequency. That phrase alone should fill you with dread. For those that don't remember, feminist frequency was a major player during Gamergate through the Tropes Against Women video series hosted by Anita Sarkeesian. FemFreak may have failed as a company, but it succeeded in changing the face of gaming into the diversity and inclusion mess that we all face today.
No one's ever going to say that self-deletion rates in males jumped drastically after Gamergate because no one wants to admit that it didn't help anything and made gaming a worse and more toxic place. I guess everything just has to be inclusive, and things that are made for the masses is homogenous and not specialized to a certain niche group. Therefore, making the art diluted and less impactful or meaningful, and removed another safe space for young males to go, to bond, and feel that they have solace or a place to belong. Somewhere where they could feel value, or escape the harsh realities of being a male. Oh well, guess I'll take HRT.
Stop him!
Where everything has to be politically correct. In gameplay for most AAA titles is an over-the-shoulder walking simulator / interactive movie with at least one girl boss character with a half-shaved head, or a role for a Deborah Wilson where she plays herself and microtransactions out the wazoo.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
Sweet Baby Inc. is a name you've heard a lot of recently after the launch and subsequent failure of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Hardly, no!
Worth it.
By the way, did you know that Shark King is now queer? If you make fun of the game now, you're a bigot. Constant Shark fans rejoice. DC strongly implies that King Shark is queer in the Arkhamverse Kill the Justice League canon.
The dumbest article ever read. Okay.
Within 2 weeks of launching, the years-old Batman Arkham Knight now has more congruent players on Steam than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. In fact, one of the members of Sweet Baby Inc. that used to work at Rocksteady but now switched up had a little bit of a meltdown on Twitter due to the backlash of the game.
She got mad at IGN.
Kevin was our teammate, and many of us worked with him directly for years. I would expect game journalists to know that and understand how callous it is to use his memory to stoke hatred. We do not need strangers to tell us what he would have thought. He told us himself. A lot of fans are hopping mad about Batman's role in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and rightfully so. Here's why Kevin Conroy's Batman is wasted.
One of the few times in my life I agree with IGN. Conroy was wasted in Suicide Squad, a bland looter shooter with major focus on microtransactions.
Bleeding edge technology innovation. Loot boxes.
With a splash of a trash story to boot. By the way, bad reviews are being deleted off of Steam as we speak, and people have been wanting refunds. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Refund search requests have risen by 761%.
I'm so mad they killed a billionaire who turned evil that I'm going to show how racist I am. It's honestly a pretty funny take they have. This is fine.
Ricky over on Twitter pointed out when Suicide Squad launched, the developer and Sweet Baby Inc. was doing victory laps.
Just isn't your day. Kim doing the class. So glad you were present to help.
Basically, Sweet Baby Inc. was behind turning Deadshot into a black guy. What a surprise, because this woman literally can't do anything without seeing herself in every damn thing.
So when I was small and starting to kind of express myself creatively in either writing or stories or art, I wrote about myself
I made
a
my
lot.
hair as big and annoying as
I
I
would
can.
put myself into a lot of art, into a lot of narratives.
Nothing has changed!
Also, this is the first black character on a AAA game if you're willfully ignorant. The problem with these hyper-progressives in every sense of the word is they have to pretend that everything they do is the first time. Disney does it with their first gay character like almost yearly at this point. And if we look at gaming, there's countless games that have black characters on the cover. What the hell is he talking about? Nothing that matters. Just something to say online so that someone who most likely cares only about virtue signaling and researching nothing will sit there and go, yes, we're breaking a glass ceiling. And this just dropped today.
Warner Brothers admits that Suicide Squad and the Justice League has fallen short of our expectations.
We're not going to read the whole thing.
From day one, the game was critical disaster. It hoisted a red flag by not sending out review copies. But when the dust settled, it had a 60 on Metacritic, a horrible score for a AAA game, and one that has led to lesser studios being shut down entirely.
And if this kills off the modern Rocksteady, well, you know the Joker said it best.
Get what you
But even before then, we've been subjected to the machinations of Sweet Baby. We just didn't know it at the time. For instance, they were part of the God of War sequel.
I got your
Obviously,
cred
the
stick
God
back.
of War 2, which explains why Angerboda, the Frost Giant, was randomly black, and Kratos had a lot more dad energy. As a man who took great interest in Norse mythology, I found this move to be beyond the pale in terms of stupidity.
It's like, you know, when they made Marie Antoinette black on Netflix. It just doesn't make any sense.
Sweet Baby was also involved in the making of Spider-Man 2. It's probably one of their bigger IPs they got a hold of in recent years. While playing the game, I found the dialogue to be laughably bad at times and cringe-inducing at others. Mysterio having a DJ mission for Miles Morales, because that wasn't racist at all. Mary Jane with her giant chin and her John Wick mission simulator that the director defended.
Let's talk about the MJ missions a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Because you made her like the most OP character in the game. Let's just get it out there.
She's OP.
One shot everybody.
She's OP. I knew that those missions weren't the fan favorites coming out of Spider-Man 1. We knew we had to make her more of a proactive, capable person. And if she's a little OP, I don't give a shit. It's important to have her be a capable hero. You know, this might sound cliche or whatever, cheesy, but like you don't need to have powers to be a hero. In the original plan, she wasn't a playable character in the last mission, but we thought, hey, can we get all three of them working as a team in that final mission? So at the very end, she's there. But yeah, she's OP. She's probably OP. I don't care.
He's gay!
That's right!
I'm Mary Jane! I'm Mary Jane! The incredible Mary Jane! Get you know who I am? Unstoppable! I'm unstoppable Mary Jane!
There.
She's OP. She's probably OP. I don't care.
Hey, those missions you hate? Well, they're back, and Mary Jane is a hero. Suck it! The Deaf Girl Simulator mission, and I know I hear PlayStation fans in the background going,
You can skip it.
it shouldn't be there in the first place. It's a Spider-Man game. That's the issue. Peter Parker just being a doormat for everyone in the game. Then at the end of the game, Peter Parker is out as Spider-Man for mental health leave, and Miles Morales is now going to be the star of future Spider-Man games. I got this. All of it.
What?
I'm not even going to talk about how they goofed up the Puerto Rican flag with the Cuban flag. Now, what makes that mistake funny is how Insomniac has a diversity and inclusion video where they talk about the importance of the Puerto Rican culture, but somehow they got the flag wrong.
It's very important that the media portrays Puerto Rican or Latino culture accurately.
Oh no! What happened?
Who and what is Sweet Baby Inc.? CEO Kim Blair and COO David Bedar. The CEO does all the groundwork.
We're a narrative development company. Every service we offer plugs naturally into the game development as opposed to being silioed strictly into the narrative team. Narrative direction, narrative design, script writing, brainstorming, and narrative development, narrative production, pipelines, cultural consultation, and casting. Sensitivity consultation.
Basically, when they say that, like you bring them something, they look it over, and then some person who isn't qualified to flip fries for you tells you if they find it offensive somehow.
This wording could be triggering for some people who suffer from the trauma of being told no.
Type of energy. This was Anita Sarkeesian's wet dream outcome for Feminist Frequency, but ultimately she failed. But FemFreak did get a few gigs talking to game companies about meaningless HR BS PowerPoints such as these. If we tune back to 2018.
Anita just started her temp consulting gig at EA. Hopefully, the shitlords don't get triggered too much. Ha 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 ha. Can't wait to shoot Nazis as a queer black woman with a cute pixie cut.
But after a few years, EA and other companies were onto her grift and stopped hiring her. As a result, a few angry tweets from Anita Sarkeesian became a common thing on Twitter whenever money before consulting popped up on the feed.
Sorry, what? EA is donating $1 million to a nonprofit working to end bullying online and harassment? Some facts. They didn't speak up during Gamergate at all. FemFreak has been a nonprofit on the front lines of this issue for years, constantly struggling with funding.
That's because you offer nothing of value. That's kind of how capitalism works.
Hey, CD Projekt Red, I'm always available for consulting, because it sure sounds like you might need it before the whole of the internet drags you for what sounds like some potentially sexist representations, which we all know you've struggled with in the past. Video game designers, let me help you avoid these types of mistakes. I want you to make a greater game. You're envisioning while appealing to a broader audience, and that includes not offering the entire art market segments. Good lord. Stay away from CD Projekt Red. Look at what you did to BioWare. You ruined their games.
Sorry, my face is tired from dealing with everything.
I don't know why you are involved in gaming sphere when you don't even play games, so stop giving advice and visiting game studios because you make everyone uncomfortable.
Obviously, Feminist Frequency went bankrupt, and the rest is history.
As for today's episode, my guest is the amazing Kim Belair. Kim is the co-founder and president of Sweet Baby Inc., a narrative development company that she established in Montreal to help companies tighten up their stories. Prior to that, she worked at Ubisoft, where she started out in community development before finding her calling in writing scenarios. And it was there that she got to work on numerous projects such as Assassin's Creed Syndicate and Far Cry 4. Right now, Kim has a lot on her plate, but she loves keeping busy and is a strong champion for inclusive narratives.
And gay. And being a black woman during the hyper-progressive swing of 2020, odds are helped a lot too. She said herself, companies set aside money for black creators, even if they had no direction or ideas.
We had a lot of people who were saying, hey, we're going to give portfolio reviews to black writers. We really want to do that. And they also had, places going, okay, we're going to put this fund here, even if they don't necessarily have a plan for it.
I'll try that oven thing again. Seemed like a pretty good idea.
But to gamers, the name Sweet Baby now is literally linked to the phrase narrative poison, with an odd focus on white male gamers, because they're the root of all the world's problems somehow, I guess.
When we look at these white guys who are supposedly our core audience, I kind of want to imagine that as consumers of a lot of different products, they also want to experience new and different stories. And I think we need to step out of this rule that all white men lack imagination to the point that they can understand and enjoy aliens or monsters, high fantasy, dwarves, anything, so long as it's through a lens that looks like them. Because ultimately, if that's the kind of person that you decide you're going to work for, that's the kind of person you're going to design.
Wait, so you can make stuff that looks like you and about you, but I can't make stuff that looks like me and about me? Oh, I see.
For, you're never going to innovate your work. And
as a result of the failure of Suicide Squad, and this video making the rounds on Twitter, gamers figured out who was pissing in their soup. So Sweet Baby did what any hugbox company exposed for ruining a beloved gaming franchise would do. They locked every public account and made sure you could never, ever comment on them, even on videos that are years old. You filthy little bigot.
But I've always written stuff ever since.
She is stunning and brave. On September 27th, Sweet Baby did a live stream called Baby on Board, the Sweet Baby Inc. story. Much like Madam Web, this was an origin story no one wanted or asked for, but here we are.
Development company, and our goal overall is to tell better stories. We want to make stories in games better. We want to tell them better. We want to help teams understand, the complexities of narrative design and how they can tell better stories. And we also want to make them more innovative, more inclusive as kind of part of that.
The explanation as to what Sweet Baby Inc. is in the word salad that encompasses this entire company reminds me of the phrase, too many cooks spoil the broth.
The very idea that gaming needed help being more inclusive is laughable, as gaming has always been a hobby for the socially dejected and social outcasts, long before it ever became mainstream, and had to be in tune with the modern audience.
Which translates to, we need to make the games more accessible for emotionally stunted humans, in a permanent state of arrested development, with a splash of gender pronouns and a little bit of neurodivergency in the mix. Thanks, TikTok.
If you go to their webpage, it reads like you'd expect.
Founded in 2018, Sweet Baby Inc. is a narrative development and consulting studio based in Montreal.
All the lamest people come from Canada.
And working around the globe. Our mission is to tell better, more empathetic stories while diversity and enriching the video games industry. We aim to make games more engaging, more fun, more meaningful, and more inclusive for everyone.
But nothing can be inclusive for everyone. That by default makes absolutely no sense because not everyone is interested in the same things. Gaming itself is a small fraction of the entire populace. I don't know about you, but it seems like the more inclusive gaming has gotten in the last few years, the more boring and repetitive it's become.
I'll start a very long time ago, eons ago, well, maybe a lifetime, in 2018, a time we all barely remember. So to kind of give you, the origin story, I'll give it from my own perspective, is that I started out in the industry in 2013, and being a black woman in the industry, being a marginalized person in these spaces has not always been easy. In fact, it's been downright abusive at times, and I'm sure that no one in this room is surprised to hear that, but there is so much abuse, so much toxicity, so much awfulness in the industry, and that was how I kind of came through it for the first several years of my career.
Your scheduled victim segment. As a man who enjoyed the early 2000s, let me tell you something. People today are so easily offended, it's hard for me to believe anyone when they say, this person is a racist or a misogynist. To your average progressive, who you vote for determines if you're a racist or a misogynist. So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna press X to doubt on this. But then again, when their web pages have certain segments like this.
Representation. We believe that representation is key to connecting players and audiences. And we offer a few ways to help your team and project gain the perspective needed to make it happen. We're a part of an inclusive and knowledgeable community of diverse consultants able to cover a wide range of cultural and sensitivity topics.
Jesus Christ, let's be more sensitive.
Yeah, I feel like trying to get emotional on YouTube. This is just sad, you know? It's like when you see a puppy who has cancer. It's just as sad as shit, you know what I'm saying?
Our approach leads with the creation of joy in marginalized players. I'm marginalized and I hate Spider-Man 2. How do you like that?
Me and Miles have a lot in common. I can't stand his ass.
And seeks to be additive rather than strictly corrective.
Yeah. The same approach has been happening to the country since 2020, and things have never been worse.
We do cultural consultation. What the hell is that? Sensitivity and inclusive reading?
What is inclusive reading? Do you read porn to the blind?
Risk and opportunities assessment and more.
I gotta Google what inclusive reading is later, because I'm not doing it right now.
In Sweet Baby Inc. Is actually derived from the fact that we worked with a lot of different teams in previous times, and every time we worked with someone who we really vibed with, or we really felt like, okay, this is really, really going well, we would go like, wow, they were such sweet babies. And when we started Sweet Baby, we said we only want to work with sweet babies, and
we only want to work with sweet babies. That origin story for the name totally makes sense with the way this company is. A whole bunch of Hugbox adults able to just spread their progressive toxin into games and make them even lamer than they already are. You get to tell me that Tomb Raider was from a bygone era of bigotry. Thanks, Crystal Dynamics. The last Tomb Raider sucked ass. In this clip, she plugs her GDC representation panel for 2022. So, I checked it out. Obviously, comments and likes are disabled. Notice a theme?
And I'm the co-founder of a little narrative development company called Sweet Baby Inc. We do narrative development in games and kind of beyond, and we try to... I would put myself into a lot of art, into a lot of narratives, and I put my family and people who look like me in all of these cool scenarios, and I was telling all these stories where I got to see myself, I got to see people who look like me, and...
To say that this was boring is an understatement. It is a 29-minute video of self-congratulatory wankfest, where she proceeds to break her own neck to lick her own lady bits.
And suddenly, for the first time in my life, I got told that the stories that I was writing and the things that I was creating for and about people who resembled me
were not real stories and they were not right stories. And this was to the point that I received a list that I'm sure many of you have received that was, here's a list of authors and stories that are legitimate. Here's a list of people and stories that are important. And as you can imagine, they were, you know, mostly men and almost exclusively white.
These poor bastard kids have their whole life ahead of them.
Within 2 minutes of the video, you've noticed the theme. She talks about herself, obviously, and how she pretty much wrote stories about herself up till high school. When someone pulled her aside and said, read Catcher in the Rye, like every high school student has to do at some point. And she took offense to this, like Michael Jordan.
This was an opportunity for innovation. Here we had the chance to make a woman who has been victimized see herself in a game, be able to express something to another woman in a game, and kind of actually relate to it. And we had that opportunity, but instead we pulled back because we thought it was safer not to push forward.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
My assessment of her GDC video panel? 0 out of 10, do not recommend. 2020, the worst time of our lives, unless you are a race hustler or an equity grifter. Most women in the gaming sphere and social media loved 2020 because it was basically hand over fist free money. Even Darkside Bill was making thousands of dollars a month in 2020.
What happened to the Vestreak money? It went to pay for stuff, genius. Bills. Back taxes.
But once it was clear that having a sensitivity team or workers that only came into work once a week didn't boost productivity or sales, the whole idea was out the window for most companies. That's why we're experiencing the mass tech layoffs.
Remember when Netflix almost made a show called Anti-Racist Baby?
Now often have found other jobs. We had a lot of people who were saying, hey, we're going to give portfolio reviews to black writers. We really want to do that. And we also had, you know, places going, okay, we're going to put this fund here, even if they don't necessarily have a plan for it.
Like I said, 2020 was free money for certain groups of people. How do you set aside funds for people in the gaming industry with no clear goal? That just sounds absolutely asinine. That's exactly how we ended up with all these people that were BLM members and leaders that were buying mansions or laundering hundreds of thousands of dollars into their own bank accounts. And the news sort of ignored the huge issue there.
It doesn't make any sense. Any fucking sense.
I always describe it as kind of like feeling like a little bit of a heist team, like in a Fast and Furious or an Ocean's movie, where you're like, okay, I've seen this problem before. I've seen this on Project A, and now I'm going to apply it to Project X. Oh, hey, this colleague, you worked on Project B. Can you come over here on Project Z and use that expertise? And it started creating this space where like we really did feel and do feel like a collective more than just kind of a writer's room.
At this point, they've pretty much confirmed that they basically do the same thing over and over and over again. If they encounter some sort of issue while working on the game, they just get someone who worked on a similar issue and go, hey, go over here and do the thing you did before so we can get around this. That doesn't breed a sense of confidence in me when it comes to Sweet Baby. That tells me more often than not the tropes and themes they cover probably repeat themselves endlessly and verbatim. And my God, does this woman talk. Like literally the white dude said something for a whole 2 minutes in an hour-long video almost. It does have a question spot at the end, but the second the first question came in was like, how does a person with neurodivergency get into the gaming industry? I immediately tapped out because I knew I was only going to go down a rabbit hole of listening to humans that have more issues than Vogue pat themselves in the back while crying that they're a victim, yet they're also a hero. I ain't got time for that. I hate It's a Gundam. He's very masculine.
What does success look like? And to me, I'll be honest, success is our team relaxing more. If we have in a world where we are more successful, to me, that doesn't mean that we work a lot more. It means that we might have bigger or cooler contracts, but I hope that it means that we get more rest, that we get to have a little bit more clout, and also the ability, and when I say clout, I don't mean like, wow, we're going to be swinging our power around. I mean, no, we're going to be able to say, hey, I think there's a better way to work, and have some people listen to us.
More clout, huh? Oh, you got it all right, honey. Gamers now know you guys are behind why most of the stories in their favorite games are now raw dog shit. and you all decided to hide your fraud. Dude, people were so mad about Suicide Squad, bro. They review bombed these guys on Google. It's kind of funny. This is their game plan overall. Force diversity till people are at the point of diversity fatigue. That's where we are now. Diversity for the sake of diversity, if you will. When you do that, it breeds resentment in people. Personally, this is my thought process, but when things are just pushed into people's faces so much, it gets an opposite reaction. You know, it's like the Streisand effect. We're sitting here trying to tell everyone that they're bigots and they're racist in 2024 when that isn't the case. The only thing you do is stoke the flames of racism.
Diversity. Sweet Baby brings with it a kind of diversity rarely seen in the industry, and as such, a range of perspectives too often ignored. We are additive in our approach to diversity and try to put a focus on joy and innovation, which we firmly believe are the most important facets of good representation. Game studios must evolve and change, and we're at the forefront of narrative's next step. With Sweet Baby, diversity isn't a band-aid or a knee-jerk response. It's a meaningful growth.
The problem with these sort of theories is you treat your audience like they're children, that they cannot connect with anything unless they see themselves. Batman isn't a minority, but I can totally relate to him. Guts from Berserk, the same. Majima Goro from Yakuza. His fall from zero makes perfect sense to me, and I can relate. I'm not Japanese. Nani? Watashi wa? Gundam desu? You know, like for real. But I'll explain why this is later. Even on their page where they show off their team, their major focal point and talking point is how diverse it is. Frankly, if you want to sum up Sweet Baby, diversity, 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 inclusion, diversity. That's like the word you will find the most with them. By the way, they seem to have worked with every major gaming company in the West. And I'm sure, much like me, you can't help but wonder,
Why? 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 Why?
in 2024, honestly, all the issues they say are in gaming just seems made up. Gamers are disgusted with being preached to, more than anything else. To pretend that America is as bigoted as it was in the 1930s is a Mr. Fantastic level stretch. But in order to keep work, you have to invent problems. We also find that the ESG is probably to blame for all of this. If you keep up with video games and anime, you may have heard recently that Japan completely left the ESG, removing around $4.5 billion because they're kind of fed up with the DEI. And their country still has some measure of sanity. But with all the cash flowing into the ESG, $4.5 billion is a drop in the bucket. It's next to nothing, actually. Already looking at this is fairly depressing for me.
Ever notice when they release these games that are really, really inclusive for the LGBTQ community in other countries that aren't as receptive? All of the pride flags and gay missions are cut from the content. Curious. Almost as if they don't mean what they say.
Environmental, climate change, energy, fuel, environmental compliance, greenhouse gas emissions, blah, blah, blah.
You know why you've been hearing a lot about electric cars? ESG.
Governance.
Notice how stupid things are getting? ESG. Can't get into it, YouTube.
Stop them! Social, diversity and equity.
You've been hearing a lot about diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI.
Employee relations, environmental justice, health and safety, human rights, non-discrimination, security, training, and education. When you choose ESG investing, you're putting your money to work in companies that strive to make the world a better place. This type of ethical investment strategy helps people align investment choices with personal values. ESG investors aim to buy shares of companies that have demonstrated a willingness to improve their platforms in these three areas.
Sounds all well and dandy, by the way. You know this is about money. Strives to make the world a better place. Judging by gaming standards of today, everything is a bloated mess, way over budget, while LARPing about giving a damn about anything other than public perception and turning a profit. The biggest investors of the ESG, you might wonder, well, you guessed it, BlackRock and Vanguard, the two companies that so lovingly bought up American homes during the pandemic, so that normal people were priced out of the market due to the rapid inflation rates, because they cared so much and wanted to make sure the world was a better place by turning as many people as possible in the future into renters. Remember that. Many of these game companies, BlackRock and Vanguard, own at least 5 to 10% in stock in. We're talking of billions of dollars are invested in each of these. Here are 2 examples. I picked them at random. EA and Blizzard, since they are both pretty lame game developers that make trash, and they also pander like there's no tomorrow, like they care about people while making
Especially
trash
this
and
fucking guy.
overworking their employees like their dogs. If you look at Blizzard, here's their breakdown. Vanguard number 1, BlackRock number 2. If you look at EA shares, BlackRock is number 1, Vanguard is number 2, damn near almost identical amounts of shares. They have $3 billion in each. Basically, the long and the short of it is BlackRock and Vanguard are huge into ESG investing, or should I call it sustainable investing. If you look at Blizzard's ESG reports, you get the picture very quickly. I saw the phrase DIE so much my eyes started to wander in my head like I was King Cobra JFS. I mean, look at this dude. This one, I didn't even have to scroll far before I found this one. This is 2022, right?
Connecting diversity, equity, and inclusion, the DIE, across everything we do. We believe that our employees and players around the world deserve to be seen, heard, and feel valued. To help advance this goal, we are announcing the addition of Christine Hines, an Activision Blizzard's first Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, April 2022. She has helped us continue to prioritize our commitment to the DEI, reframe how we think about the DEI, and embrace the DEI in everything we do as an organization to provide more transparency to our progress. We recently published our 2022 DEI Look Back, which outlined the DEI purpose, wins, and plans the future.
Do you see what I'm saying? How often do you see DEI? It's actually kind of, it's almost repetitive, like a mantra.
I'm excited to be part of a company that is committed to the DE and I and making progress on the ambitious goals. In an industry with historical underrepresentation, I'm looking forward to leading the company's efforts to build a workplace that values transparency, equality, and inclusion. Gaming connections communities around the world and showcase heroes from all backgrounds. I value playing a part in expanding the leadership and talent to create these compelling experiences and bring them to a broad base of players.
It's these made-up BS positions women get 95% of the time. Thanks to the ESG, Overwatch is an absolute pandering garbage and no longer a competitive team-based shooter. The Overwatch League is pretty much dead. And let's be real here. Can you look me in the face and say that Blizzard has gotten better since they got a DEI manager? No. In fact, it's worse. Call of Duty's worse. It's a goddamn copy pasta. Blizzard just rolled out another one of its greedy new ideas, where it begins charging $30 for class-restricted Diablo 5 portal bubbles. How does this broaden and include people? The ESG feels like a big Ponzi scheme to me. All this talk of making the world a better place, and it's funded by 2 companies that specialize in taking advantage of the housing market and screwing the average American. And I highly doubt games like Suicide Squad, Call of Duty, Overwatch, Diablo 4, etc. that sell tons of trash, monetization, gimmicks, and mechanics is a sign of improving society and gaming. I wouldn't be surprised if the ESG was against this, but guess what? They won't do anything about it because it makes money. But what do I know? So there you have it, a better idea as to what is going on and why. And no clue on how to stop it. Welcome to the 2020s. It's going to suck.
Andrew, I think you are the perfect choice to head our Pacific Division.
I would be honored, Mr. Winthorpe.
Ah, please, call me Jack.
Okay, Jack.
Scotch and soda for Andrew, and an old-fashioned for Mr. Winthorpe.
Oh, thank you, Christopher.
Are you gentlemen ready to order, or would you prefer some time to enjoy your cocktails?
I'm ready. Andrew, are you?
Yes, sir.
Ah, the quick decision maker. I like that. The sign of a winner. Please, go ahead and order whatever you want, don't be shy. You are as good as hired.
Thank you very much. I'll have the ribeye, please.
Excellent choice. How would you like that prepared?
Rare.
Ah, now that's how a man eats. I will have the usual, my boy.
1 foot-long hot dog with warm cottage cheese on the side of it.
Yes, sir. Is there something wrong?
Oh, no. I just didn't see that on the menu.
No, it's special. They make it just for me. One of the perks of being a CEO, I suppose. If you'd like, I can call the waiter back and you can order that instead.
No, thank you. I'll stick with the ribeye.
So I won't lie, graduating from Dartmouth certainly did not hurt getting your resume in front of me. I was excited to hear that you were a fellow mouther.
Yeah, I graduated in with a major in business and a minor in psychology.
I know. I minored in German studies.
Ah.
Were you, by chance, on the rowing team?
Yes, I was.
Oh, I knew you'd be perfect for my company. Cheers to a bright future, and to you, Andrew. Thank you. Oh, they are so fast here. Oh, thank you so much.
Is there anything I can get you gentlemen in the time being?
I think we are all set. Thank you so much.
It's great, thank you.
Ah, bon appetit.
Yes, that looks good.
So I don't mean to get all corporate here on you, but what would you say is your biggest weakness?
Well, you know, I'm a bit of a workaholic. When I'm given a task, I just tend to have to go for it. Jesus Christ! I mean, sometimes I tend to spend too much time on projects, and oftentimes my wife will complain that, you know, when I need to,
At my company, you can come as early as you like and finish as late as you want. But family is most important. Since you mentioned it, but friends, what would they say about you if I asked them?
Oh, gosh, I guess depending on who you ask, they'd say that I'm very loyal and trustworthy. And why? How's that a meal? They say I'm friendly and...
When can you move your family out here?
I don't know, soon?
May I be able to interest either of you in dessert? We have a lovely chocolate cannoli tonight.
Oh, I couldn't possibly eat one of those by myself. I would be happy to split one with Andrew.
2 plates and forks?
Why?
Wait. How are we gonna split a cannoli if we don't cut it in half?
Well, we can either Lady and the Trampet or go Requiem for a Dream.
What is that?
Sir, that's ass to ass.
I don't want to work for you.
No one does.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to Normal World. I'm Dave Landau.
I'm Quarterback Garrett, and I'm struggling not to laugh right now. My gosh, that's the first time I watched that. So good. Hey, Angela.
Hey.
Angela's here.
Hi, Dad.
Hi, how are you? How are you, daughter?
Good.
Good young lady. Mind your P's and Q's.
I will.
That's all I'm asking.
I know.
And joining us today, actually one of the guys I ever featured for about 20 years ago at the Holly Hotel in Holly, Michigan.
Yeah, which is burned down now.
It was burned to the ground in what I'm sure wasn't insurance fraud at all. He's got a new special out called Bachelor Party, which you can see on all
Bachelorette, I'm sorry.
Bachelorette Party.
Bachelorette.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Bachelorette Party.
The lady version.
Yes, the people you always want at your comedy show.
That's the idea.
Yep. It's available everywhere, and including Tubi.
Oh, yeah. I'm
Where-
on Tubi.
On Tubi.
Yeah, I'm not no one.
That's right.
No one. Please welcome Tim Slagle.
Thank you. Thank you. You can call me Grandpa, Andrew.
I will.
And I myself, you can see me April 5th at the Frenthal in Muskegon, Michigan, and April 13th at the Orpheum in Billings, Montana, with Derek Richards, both of those shows.
Derek Richards of Cottage
Derek
Cheese.
Richards, the man who just deep-throated a hot dog.
And you will not be sharing a cannoli.
No, not that night.
No.
Well, certainly not on camera.
No.
But maybe.
Hey, you could find me on my personal channel and on Nerdrotic on Fridays for Friday Night Tights, where we talk about pop culture and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, go check it out.
You guys talking about Dune coming up?
Oh yeah, we're gonna watch Dune.
Are you gonna get one of those?
I hope so. Chris Gore is supposed to hook me up with one of those popcorn cups. So.
Okay.
To celebrate, I'm going to dress as the witch guy and go on planes and take up 3 seats.
Yeah. Just like rub your nipples the whole time. You're like, I'm in character.
And just do that the whole flight. Just like every other fat person I've had to sit next to on Southwest last weekend. Sorry, I'm still bitter.
I'm looking forward to seeing the sandworms. I watched that whole first one, and no sandworms.
Yeah,
that's true.
Right at the end.
Yeah, a little bit of sandworm. Sandworm teaser.
Yeah, we need more.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to see them riding the worms, man.
You just
I want
got a
the
little
full
bit of the
thing.
helmet, but you didn't get enough. You didn't get the full worm.
Yeah. Gotta get that full shaft there.
Yeah, I love the first one though.
It's great. It's phenomenal. I want to see it in IMAX for sure. Because that's one of those movies that you go to the theater at IMAX because it's just massive. It's like one of those epics. They don't make anymore.
No, I just saw this too, and I should have put it in here, and I will try it tomorrow. But they had Werner Herzog buy a ticket to see Barbie.
Oh yes, and he was like.
Was this filmed?
Oh, it's incredible.
Was this filmed?
It's a lunatic. Like he's the guy. If you don't know me, he made Grizzly Man and Port of Call, Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, and like he's insane, and not like the David Lynch self-aware insane, like just completely insane. And he's like, it was pure hell. He's like, I could only stand a half an hour, and it is what hell is like. It's the greatest review I've ever seen of a movie.
He didn't even get to I'm Just Ken.
I didn't. Well, good news. You'll be hearing that sung at the Oscars, I found.
I heard, yeah.
So, if you're going to be one of the declining number of people, yeah, this is. Werner Herzog is pissed. This is a guy who was angry that he couldn't put the footage of people getting eaten by bears at the end of Grizzly Man. He could just have the audio.
Huh? Yeah.
I'd be mad about that.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Which Grizzly
That's what I watched the movie for. That's what I watched. Again, it was like the sandworm.
It's the build-up. You're like, it's called Grizzly Man. We all know what's going to happen. Frame one, so.
They're not your friend. I love how at the end they're like, look, they thought he was tainted meat because he was such an idiot. That the bears were just like, we should eat that thing. And then at the end they were like, we'll just eat it.
That guy's got worms for sure.
Well, he's going up to bears and he's like, this one's Cookie and this one's Skittles and this one's Strawberry, and he's like hitting him in the face.
That reminds me of the movie that was shot. It's like Big Cats or something. They made an entire movie about lions.
Really?
Yeah, and it was like this old
Tiger
money,
King.
Old money
Lion King.
Hollywood.
Oh,
They were stuntmen. They were stuntmen, and they owned big cats, and they filmed an entire movie based around these big cats, and they were like, yeah, we have them trained and everything. It'll be okay. We have insurance. And they just got mauled the entire time they made this movie. It's a wild movie.
I'll watch that.
Yeah, it's Watch it.
It always cracked me up with Siegfried and Roy when the cat bit. I don't. Was it Siegfried or Roy that got bit?
Didn't they both get bit? I thought they both did.
One of them got it
No,
good.
no, one of them really got bit.
It was like the
I think
owners
it was
of the
Roy.
The owners of the casino said, well, you know, that couldn't have ever happened to the audience because there was like a way of keeping them on stage, right? They go, no, not my kitties. It's like, you mean they could have jumped into the audience at any time? Yeah, they wouldn't though. It's like,
they wouldn't.
Shut it down. Shut that show down.
But they ate Daddy's face.
It was Roy.
Yeah, it was Roy that got bit?
Yeah.
Okay. 'Cause he lived for a while after, and his face was not magical. But Siegfried, though, I think retired.
Yeah, he shut it down.
No, and the lion died of AIDS.
It was Manticore. As God made him.
The tiger. Yeah, it's what you get for you put it in.
Come on.
Put it in a sparkling vest and start throwing magic explosions around it. Eventually, it's gonna be like, I'm gonna kill this. I can't do.
Today's a bad day, Roy. You did no.
Like Roy, I don't wanna disappear. In fact, I really wanna make a mark.
You disappeared.
No, I want to like hunt animals out in the wild, but you keep just whipping me.
You know, it was a great show though. Because for a few,
That
at least 30 seconds, people were like,
wow. The effects on this one, man.
Wow.
These are just magnificent.
They go all out, and then they're like, that is real blood.
There's a story of a comedian, a club comedian. I can't remember who it was. He had like a cockatoo that was like his big closer was pulling the cockatoo out of a place where it shouldn't be, and it for some reason it flew and landed and went right into the ceiling fan. It's like his pet cockatoo had been with him for like 20 years. It was part of his closer. It's the ceiling fan.
Wait, where'd he pull it from?
Feathers everywhere. Use your
Where it
imagination
shouldn't
on that
be.
one.
Well, I would fly into the ceiling.
Where a caca should never have been. That's where.
Hilarious. They cancel the next like 4 months of shows because I gotta find.
But the audience.
I gotta get another one. I gotta train it up.
You know, just an explosion of feathers in the audience. Oh, beautiful!
So they realize it's blood. All of a sudden, the magician's crying. I had a guy he was a magic act. He was in Cuyahoga Falls, and he was a magician doing a guest set. And we went out and we were smoking a cigarette by this window, and I guess he thought it was like a mirror where this girl couldn't see him. And he's going like, I want to, F you to this girl. And she looks over and goes, what? And goes and taps her boyfriend, who's huge. And I was like, good luck with all that. Away from him.
I'm gonna disappear.
Yeah, and it was so funny because, dude, this guy's beating the crap out of this magician in the hallway, but like all his tricks were falling out. So there's like
He beat the tricks out
yeah,
of
so
him.
We gotta make a sketch of that.
it was so funny. There's like there's like 3 other dead birds. There's just a rabbit laying on the ground having
Long
a
handkerchief
seizure.
thing is like
Coins coming out everywhere.
It was like his rings and pencils, and I was just but man, he really hurt him. Yeah.
I didn't realize his own trick mirror was a trick mirror.
Dude, he didn't. We were outside, so he thought that the bar next door, for some reason, wasn't looking out. He thought it was the mirror inside, so he just started saying it. And it's like, you're a magician who doesn't understand mirrors, and then he had really childish tricks. Like,
Kicked the 10:30 show out of him.
he did not do another guest set. It's very hard to be like, is this your card? You're like, yeah, mine was a bloody 2 of spades.
It's bent. I can see it's bent there in the middle.
They're all bent. Oh, it's one of my favorite things to watch.
Oh man.
Oh, I hope he's dead. So, no, I don't. I hope he just
Minecraft.
stopped being a magician. So, speaking of comics,
Yes.
a buddy who I used to do a podcast with called Fair One.
Mm-hmm.
He hosted Saturday Night Live last weekend. I watched My favorite sketch, personally, was cut from the show, I gotta be honest. But he was fired for what they said was racist, homophobic jokes 5 years ago. It really was a guy who ironically makes bird calls for a living, dug up through every podcast he did until he found him say the word gook, and he was saying it in a way that was him pretending to be a guy who was ripping down Chinatown. So it actually wasn't meant in a derogatory fashion, but context doesn't matter, and especially at the height of the cancel culture.
Yeah.
This was all at the Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K. Height of that movement, and Shane was basically a feature act who then just got destroyed for a couple years. He came out, I thought he had a great opening, was a lot of fun, and of course you have the mainstream media talking about how he bombed, which I find incredible, saying that he made, quote, retard jokes, which
he did.
Yes, but his jokes were about the fact that he had his niece. Yes,
yeah, he has family members that have Down syndrome.
He loves.
And
they're all positive Down syndrome jokes. That's the thing. It's like, it's a funny joke, but it's not making fun of Down syndrome people. It's actually kind of making fun of himself and other people that treat Down syndrome people with kid gloves and stuff like that, when he's just like, they have a great time.
When he had a great joke about how, and they run a coffee shop in his hometown. It's ran by,
so good.
Yeah, and it's ran by people with, with Down syndrome. And this is something where you actually see in the comments saying, I didn't even know this place was Shane's. My kid has Down syndrome and goes there. This is amazing. Because it's not somebody who's like, look at me, look at all I do for a community. But it was great because he goes, it's kind of hard because they all order apple juice. And he goes, there's a line around the building, not because it's busy, the service is just a little. And it's very funny and true, and it was very vulnerable. And the woman and the guy behind him,
just
this resting bitch face.
We have it.
Oh, do you have it?
Yeah.
The one in the back.
Look at her.
Zoom in there.
There's one thing you notice though when you look at these guys, it's very fun. There's zero difference between us and them, and especially.
I do not approve.
Oh man, I live to see that face in the audience when I'm on stage. That's the face I always want to see right front and center, and just daring her to get up.
Yes.
I'm sure he was disappointed not being able to see her.
Well, she was so mad. She just wanted to play her violin.
Well, and he was great. He was fantastic. It's like,
and his parents.
He's one of those actors.
He's just better than the show. I'm gonna go ahead and be honest.
One of those comedians that's on the show that should be part of the legends on SNL. You know, like he harkens back to that kind of earlier SNL style.
You mean when it was funny?
Good.
Yes.
When the show was funny.
Well, it's hard to watch because, like, Michael Shea and Colin Jost, I do think do a good job on Weekend Update. I think that
been there for a while,
and they have been, and I think they're both funny comedians. But with the rest of the cast, I just don't understand where to start. Even in recent years, I knew where it was. I mean, you could see Jason Sudeikis, you could see Bill Hader, you could see Bobby Moynihan for what he was. I mean, they all had this certain it factor.
I don't even know who's on the show right now.
I didn't know any of them. I was just missing it. And I don't know, the show the Trump sneaker sketch was great. I guess it's just not. It's every time I watch SNL, you kind of just go, eh. And I thought he's better than the show. And the Limu Emu was the funniest.
That's the one I didn't watch. I watched the Trump.
Well, it wasn't on the show. They cut it. And it's the funniest sketch I've seen in it's why I love SNL. It's like Toons is the driving cat. It's
like the offbeat
the
weird
Cluckin'
stuff.
Chicken, Mr. Bill, from back to the 70s, like just the bizarre.
The Julia Child with.
When he cuts his finger open, and just leaves all over the turkey.
Yeah, I love the offbeat weird stuff.
We do have it.
Let's take a look. We have to talk a little bit over it just so you know, and it's to prevent a copyright. And this is it.
Good, nice.
It's very funny. And then,
Somebody's paying for coverage.
And
That emu has some star power. See
He
it?
does. We have to talk over it. Don't be mad.
Looks real. That's
yeah.
So you only pay for what you
And
need.
Whoa, really?
I love that. We're in a bad part of town.
Oh, man.
Looks like you wanted this to happen. Act like a goddamn cowboy. You know what they do to insurance salesmen in jail?
Ever. I mean, what I do appreciate about those, I think Lorne brought him on to make it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it was more, because a lot of people are like wondering, like, were they using him? Was it this? And I'm like, no, I think it really just came down to, I don't think, because Lorne kept telling Shane, we just have to get to update. We just have to make it to update. And it was just pressures from people above him that ended up, because I don't think Lorne's anybody who honestly cared.
Yeah, that's probably the network.
Well, obviously he was cool because, you know, if I got fired and then got invited back to do a monologue that was live,
but yeah,
it's not the first time.
I would not have been as polite.
That's happened a whole lot. Like Norm, Adam Sandler as well were fired and then brought back on like the next year.
Jenny Slate too, I think.
Yeah,
For
Jenny Slate.
Yeah, so it's not new in their history at all for them to bring somebody back.
And Sandler didn't go back very often.
No.
Like,
not at all.
Norm did, but a bit. But yeah, Norm came back the very next year and he was like, last year I wasn't funny. This year. In the perfect Norm way. But I think what they were doing honestly is like they need a Trump if he wins, and nobody's doing it better than Shane.
They showed him in the Trump sketch, and it was like.
And it was a great sketch for when he puts on the Air Trump shoes.
Shane's impression was great.
Yeah, and then he goes and throws the ball and still completely misses, but just talks crap to everybody on the court, which I think, is this one.
Yeah, they're playing it. I was actually surprised that they kind of leaned into it a little
The
more
Joe
than I
Biden
they did
too
Yeah.
at the end.
Not on the court. Gordon for 3.
Well, the writer's room, you never know how they feel, and you never know how a lot of these people feel.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's all about
I just think the whole network is pressured to be a certain lockstep.
Donald J. Trump?
When they need to go the opposite, that is exactly what they need to do, is to do the opposite of what the network pushes against them.
I'm open.
I always thought it was the writers. I thought it was just the writers. I thought it was that Harvard clique.
Could be.
Just out of touch.
Yeah, completely out of touch, completely one side.
I don't know, because Jim Downey was always great. Like, he always knew what to do with Norm. Yeah, didn't miss.
No.
He's in bed with his
She's
wife.
like, you want to do it again? He's like, no, you're tired. You're tired.
I think if Saturday Night Live really had balls and they wanted to be edgy, what they would do is they would get Donald Trump to come on to play Alec Baldwin.
Oh,
That's a good idea.
Oh, yeah, in a Western sketch?
Do a Rust sketch.
Brilliant. I mean, it really would be.
That would explode the internet. It would just break. They just would work.
Absolutely. But do you think any of those writers would touch that idea?
I would pitch it immediately. Be like, why would we not do this?
You know Trump would. You know he's got he's got a chip on his shoulder. That
Be happy to do it.
Want to play Alec Baldwin on a Saturday Night Live sketch?
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that's something that I would love. Yeah, I think, it used to be very, like when you look at the
Not
beginning.
pull the trigger. Did not pull the trigger.
I didn't pull it.
I
Look,
didn't pull the trigger.
I
Wasn't me. The gun just went off.
Look, I just, firearms, safety. It's not my thing. He pointed it at a woman. That's what I don't get. It's like, you still shouldn't point your gun.
Ever.
Dude, okay,
anyone.
so
Doesn't
documents have
matter.
come out because they just had the Alec Baldwin trial.
Yeah, because he's not
And
being
the armorer is now going through trial.
Yeah, they got to find
Through
something.
her documents, she stated that she tried to get him to do safety practice over and over and over and over, and he never would. And the line producer came up to her and said, "Hey, you need to stop asking Alec to practice so much. You need to focus on the other duties that you have and not the guns." And she was like, "No, like if the guns are on set, they need to be the most important thing." But he was like, "No, you need to focus on something else to stop bothering Alec."
Are you serious?
That's from her statement. Yeah, in court.
Wow.
Which, hey, I apologize to her because we lambasted that woman a lot because she's like a nepotism person. Like her dad was in the industry for a long time, and she just kind of like she's super young, so everybody just assumed that she is just the fault was on her too. But from some of the stuff she said, if it's true, it
Didn't
sounds
she
like it
have
was all
coke in
out.
her system?
Her?
Yeah.
I think
The armor.
She's on.
I think pot.
You
You look at her, you can smell the pot.
Yeah.
Just looking at
I mean, either way.
Everybody.
But she had coke and pot in her system, but she's still right about the guns.
Yeah, you should practice. I think maybe that's you should do more of that.
I mean, maybe it was making her paranoid to a good level. Perhaps more people should smoke weed on set and be like, those guns. We shouldn't maybe just be so hammy.
Willy-nilly, and not just pointing them around, pulling the trigger and whatnot.
Yeah, like, who should I point this at in the scene? The bad guy? No, the cinematographer.
Yeah, right behind the camera.
down the barrel.
Right off to right to the side of the camera. Right there.
How many people can't shoot people on purpose from that distance?
We saw a police officer that couldn't shoot his own car.
No.
Don't point at the camera. Don't point at the camera. Do you know how much those things cost?
Yeah,
Put it off to the side.
Very
where the operator is. They're expendable.
Who wants to watch a movie with Alec Baldwin called Rust that takes place in the Wild West? That's the part that I don't get.
I kind of do now.
I might.
Well, now.
When that movie comes out, I'm watching it.
It's the Vic Morrow
Looking for
scene
the
in
shot.
Twilight Zone was the one I waited for.
Well, yeah, of course. You wanted to see.
Like, helicopter crash right now. Go.
Yeah, no pun intended, but you wanted to see how much they could cut out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah, this one, but it's like that wouldn't appeal to anyone. Like, who's looked at Alec Baldwin as a leading man since 30 Rock?
Well, it's kind of it's kind of that Kevin Costner, Harrison Ford thing. Is they're all doing the cowboy shows now.
Yeah.
So they're kind of rejuvenating their careers as the old grizzled man of the West.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but Alec Baldwin, to me, I guess maybe it's just me, but he just never worked as a real actor or leading man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like, he just never clicked with
I thought he was a better supportive.
Hey, Glenn Ross,
Yeah,
he's phenomenal. There's a ton of movies, that he's great in, but as a lead.
As a lead. Yeah, I
was
can see that.
Was it Baby Blues or Miami?
It's
Boss Baby?
complicated.
He's made a lot of crap when it's.
That is true.
He's at the helm. Is it The Getaway?
The Shadow. He was in that movie, The
God,
Shadow.
yeah, I saw that in the theater.
Shadow.
Disappointed child. Ugh. Pointed at yourself, Alec. So more on comedy. Friends of mine and Kurt Metzger, friend of the show, who's been on several times, but also Dave Smith, Louis J. Gomez, and Jim Florentine, have all had their shows canceled by the Capitol Hill Comedy Bar in Seattle.
So are they shutting down their comedy bar? Is that why they're canceling these shows? 'Cause
No.
That would be ridiculous otherwise.
Believe it or not, they feel that in Seattle, the politics of the area would not cater to them. So this was what was sent to Jim, who of course posted it.
Capitol Hill is
Immediately.
known for its progressive values, and we've received significant feedback expressing concern about the alignment of these upcoming shows with the neighborhood's ethos. This feedback includes concerns from local advocacy groups that are deeply embedded in our community and includes upholding its values.
Yeah. This is where Chop and Chaz was.
Yeah, right there. Right there.
Yeah, I talked to a friend of mine. I won't say who he is and where he was there, but he said that, let's say, a lot of local comics were the ones that complained and started putting this.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's happened all over the country with comics. Certain comics get together and they form a coalition. And they all like ask that the club be sensitive to diverse, and they make all these demands. I know a couple club owners. They've shown me the I don't know, the manifestos they get from these idiots. And the good clubs say, well, I know who not to book now.
Right.
But it's, some clubs fold to the pressure, and I don't know why they send them an email. Back in my day when I was getting canceled from the clubs, it was just we double booked that week. Sorry.
Yeah, they sort of went around it in a way where they didn't.
Yeah, they never said that it was something I was doing on stage.
It's the worst thing you can do, and the worst thing you can do is send it to Jim Florentine, Louis J. Gomez, and Dave Smith.
Heavy hitter comedians.
Well, they're also not going to be quiet about it.
Yeah.
Why would they be?
Dumb. You're dumb.
Yeah, like if you asked me without them getting canceled, who's the 4 worst comics? That's probably who I'd name. I'd go. Jim would probably be the nicest about it, but he's still gonna post it.
Kurt talked about it on the Jimmy Dore show.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Did you have a clip?
He's been talking about it on Twitter nonstop.
Oh yeah, he's been going on.
Fantastic.
That is mental. Well, look, it really, I hate punching down the phrase. I hate it, but it is punching down to Jess with one S. But I'm not mad at her, and it's important for her because now that woke is dying, and it's dying. There's no point even saying it. There's no point in saying it. It's dying. A lot of the people that went along with it are gonna, like in Inglourious Bastards, try to blend back into society. Yeah. Okay. And now, not physically in real life, but just with my words and mockery, you're gonna have to imprint that symbol on their head. The only punishment they deserve is mockery, nothing more than that. But we have to do it so that this can never happen again. So what's next? And that's the point that I feel an obligation to society to make fun of. Obviously, there's some loser at a place that's failing. I don't hate her or feel angry, but everyone needs to see. Don't have the class to not talk shit about this because it has to go away. And so the only way we're going to get rid of it is mockery.
Do you draw the line at would you book a comedian who voted the wrong way? What if a comedian you found out voted for Trump? Would you just well, the community said they feel threatened?
Do they have a don't ask, don't tell policy at least for that?
It's not a safe space.
I have a show called Tell Us Who You Voted For, and we have like a guillotine in the back.
I love Kurt. He's so good.
Best.
There's like an open micer in Chicago. He was like a host at one of the open mics there, and somebody told another person that he said off stage that he thinks gender is binary, and he was banned from all the Chicago shows.
Can you imagine having your
In the reality?
thrown away?
Yeah.
Also over something like, did he say it? Because that's like a sentence.
Yeah.
When would that come up?
I don't know. I just remember reading through the Facebook feed.
Oh no!
Can you believe he would say that? Can you believe somebody would be so ignorant? Someone that ignorant has no place in the Chicago comedy scene.
Yeah, they call them doctors. I talked to somebody there, and this woman opened the club and with her husband, and wants to get new people in. And she's also somebody who is a comic, and she wants to skip some steps in comedy by meeting these people and get ahead a little bit. And that's what she did. So then, of course, she feels the pressure from the woke mob that's sitting there in Seattle, which is never going to give you money, never going to help your place,
Right.
only is going to leech off you.
Yeah, they don't have
You're not
jobs.
going to draw the crowd. They're not. There's no reason to cater to any of these people. These are open micers, and so that's what she did. Was she was like, I guess I'll just cancel all the. And it's like, get a theater across the street. You know what I mean? At this point, because there's no reason to have this happen. Every type of comedy should exist, and if you want to have trans, drag, whatever, have it at your venue. Yeah. Don't cancel comics thinking there's nobody with. I mean, Dave Smith is a libertarian. Louis J. Gomez just doesn't care. Jim Florentine is a conservative. Kurt Metzger is Kurt.
Kurt,
In between.
Yeah. It's like there's no real label you can put on some of them. It's just wrong.
Don't go to the show. If it doesn't make you comfortable, why would you go to the show? Just let them play.
Here's the thing, too. If you want to bring people into your club, what you do is you book those guys and let everybody that sent you that petition letter stand outside and protest and call the news and tell them it's going on. That's how you get people in the club. I mean, those 4 guys could get together and they could sell out huge theaters now. Because of this.
In Seattle. Like when I was there, there was tons
absolutely.
of people that came up to me and were like, hey man, I don't agree with any of this. This is crazy. All this stuff is crazy. I don't think of any. I'm not leftist. I'm conservative. I just live here because of work or whatever. So there's definitely people that would go to shows that are neutral.
He was there during CHOP though.
the height of it.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm just trying to go outside to this new country and make
What's
it
going on
famous
out here?
for Washington.
Kurt's absolutely right. Woke is dying. It's dying. It's going to die a very brutal death. It's going to be lashing out at everybody as it goes down because it's losing its popularity, its pull.
Well, it's already become a slur.
Exactly. Yeah, it's derogatory to say. At this point.
It's just fucking boring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just as done. It's like, we get it. You want to be called this, everything. It doesn't
Here.
matter. Nobody cares. Nobody cares enough about stuff in their life or has the time to care that much about you. And they don't care enough about other people. So stop pretending it's some empathetic movement when it's not.
Yeah.
There's no empathy behind it. There's nothing more about it than going, we have to seek and destroy this person. All they did, if you break it down, is take away money from people that have children and have mouths to feed.
Yeah.
Wow, great. What a wonderful movement you've created.
How altruistic of you. Good job.
It's not, just because you're not comfortable doesn't mean you shouldn't go. But if you want to be comfortable, you should go to trymiracle.com. That is where you will be comfortable. Are you tired of traditional bed sheets?
Hell yeah.
The kind of bed sheets that would, I don't know, kick you out of a club in Seattle for having your own opinion?
I hate those kinds of sheets.
Worst sheets imaginable. These sheets make you feel like you're seeing an actually funny show.
Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut the fuck up, Weaver. No one cares. Yes. In the future, the British can put more emphasis on the fostering of the ring end. These fucking losers who made this game really tried to shove this retarded ass storyline in.
Alright, well, you have a good one. Oh, guys, have fun. Oh, tomorrow, maybe, or today. Whatever. Bye.